This video is meant for people who are still new to the process of learning how to day trade and who are consistently beating themselves up whenever they lose a trade, blow a funded account, or whatever the case may be. If you're not new and if you're somebody who doesn't beat themselves up when it comes to trading, then this video is not for you. Just want to go ahead and throw that out there. The reason why I want to talk about this is because of how important it is for people to ask themselves the right question. Because again, I'm only 25. I don't know a lot about life, but one thing that I think is true when it comes to life is that an aspect to it is just figuring out what are the right questions to ask, whether it be to yourself or to other people. But more importantly, we're just talking about yourself. And the reason why I think it's important is because somebody could spend years trying to identify what issues they have in their life, why they keep seeing the same things happen over and over again. And it's interesting how all they would have to do is when they ask themselves certain questions, maybe change a word here or there. And then immediately the framing of that question now becomes like an epiphany of like, oh my God, I've been trying to figure this out. Yada, yada, yada. You guys understand my point. But specifically, I'm talking to the people right now who really just beat themselves up when it comes to trading. And I want to talk about, one, the real problem as to why you do that. And then two, kind of go over just how you can alleviate it, how you can resolve it, and go from there. Because that was just like you in your case, right? When I first started learning how to trade, I wouldn't necessarily get upset when I lost money, but I would get mad at myself because in my mind, I'm always trying to figure out, like, how am I not getting this? Right? Like, especially in today's day and age with social media, we're seeing all these people be successful, right? How is it that I'm not there yet? How is it the case? It doesn't make sense to me. And after years of doing this, I realized that that wasn't the right question because I was looking at it from the wrong perspective in the first place. Not how are they doing it and I'm not doing it. The real thing you have to understand is if you're beating yourself up whenever you lose money, you have to understand it has nothing to do with the money. It has to deal with you grasping at the notion that you don't deserve the life or the future that you think you do or that you're working towards. You just don't deserve it. And then if we go down on a deeper level, it really just comes down to understanding and admitting out loud that you're not good enough. And it's very difficult for a lot of people to do that, to say that out loud at least. And it's difficult because when you poke that issue, it unravels into other aspects of your life. Because when you say I'm not good enough, you're essentially also now applying that statement to everywhere else in life. Okay, well, I'm fat or I'm broke or I don't look that attractive or this or that. I'm not tall enough, whatever the case may be. And so a lot of people, even aside from trading, just in life, tend to avoid that just fundamental fact, that reality. They just avoid to deal with it. And instead they compensate it with drugs, alcohol, partying, gambling, women, whatever, or men. I don't know what your type is. And as a trader, looking at the financial markets, the faster you understand that you're not good enough, not even the faster you understand it, the faster you accept that, then that's the faster in which you can start asking yourself the right questions and start going about this the right way. So let's say you say that out loud. I'm not good enough. You can go down two different paths from that route. One is you can then go down a spiral of, okay, I'm not good enough. I shouldn't do this. I'm done. And a lot of people do that. It is what it is. Or you can go down the other path, which is I want to get better. I want to prove myself wrong. I want that voice in my head to be quiet. How do I now go about doing that? And that's the route that I think people naturally want to take, but they get caught up in everything else that they just don't give themselves, the ability to breathe and just go from there. So if you're a beginner and you're watching this, and also I want to touch on something too, because some people might be looking at me and listening to this right now, and they might be like, this guy's getting real deep in regards to the financial markets. Like, it's just trading, bro. Like, it doesn't have to be this deep. And there's two things I want to address with that thought that some of you might be having. One, somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs to watch this video in order to get better. So again, it goes back to my initial point, which is this video is only meant for specific people. And two, the world isn't black and white anymore. It's not right and wrong. Any aspect of the world now, that doesn't exist. If you look at politics, you look at relationships, you look at this, you look at that, nothing's black and white anymore. You know what I mean? We don't live in 1998 where a loaf of bread was 85 cents, where a house was 120 grand, where you could buy a brand new car off the lot for $20,000, and school was $6,000 a year. We don't live in that time anymore. Things are way more expensive. People are struggling on a completely different level. And especially for my generation, and I don't want to sound like everybody else, but the path of good grades, go to school, get a job, save money, buy a house, retire, that path, one, isn't the only path that exists anymore. And two, has been demonstrated not to be the most beneficial path for a lot of young people. Not anymore. Now, again, I'm not saying the path doesn't exist, but I'm just saying we have demonstrated through a number of different ways that is no longer the most, financially responsible path or just the most, fulfilling path. It's not it anymore. And so because we don't live in a world anymore where things are black and white, we now have to look at alternatives. We have to think things differently. We can't do the same things in which we were doing. So when it comes to trading, and again, I'm speaking to those who really are just dealing with a lot of mental health issues right now, you can't beat yourself up because that is the easiest way to that's the easiest way to fail. And not just fail, but really just fail, just collapse and just be done and over with, and then be depressed or having severe anxiety or stress. That's the easiest way to do it. And you might think, depending upon what you watch, that beating yourself up is the best way, or telling yourself you're not good enough. You might think that's the best way in order to see success. And it can be, but you have to add an additional step to that statement. I am not good enough, so how can I get better, right? You have to enforce that negative, statement with a positive thing next to it. You can't just say, I'm not good enough, I'm not shit, and let's get back to work. And I think a lot of guys do that too. And, and I'm definitely guilty for that. I think a lot of guys are just like, our motivation isn't the same as women's motivation. And again, I'm not a woman. I'm not going to get too much into women. I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to get canceled, and I just got on YouTube. But, at least in my experience, in my opinion, a woman will be like, it's okay, let's meditate, you're worth it, you're great. And that's beautiful. And I think a lot of men should actually adopt that. Because, when I was playing basketball in college and I was doing a drill or I was missing shots, I would just get pissed. I'd be mad. I'd be like, man, come on, man, stop being I would just be cussing myself out for hours on the court. And and if anybody really ever played a sport on a competitive level, that a coach is not gonna tell you you're good enough. He's gonna tell you you suck and you have to get better. And so for guys, that's just how we're raised. But when it comes to this, it's completely different than that, in my opinion. And it's different because, one, there's money involved. And obviously, everybody doesn't look at money from a purely aspect of it's a piece of paper and I can buy food with it. No, most people don't look at money that way. Let's just be honest here. It is a representation of how useful you are. What are your abilities? What can you do? And so if you can't do a lot, that's going to affect your mental. And so anyways, let's get back to the trading conversation, though. I don't want to get too much off topic. But you have to understand that if you're beating yourself up about trades, it's because you're battling in your own mind and you haven't fully accepted yet that you just aren't good enough. And am I going to say that's okay? Well, it depends on who you are. For some people, it's okay because then they know it's going to get better. For some people, it's not. For some people, they have to find a way to be able to generate money. And this is the way in which they want to do it. I don't think that's the best way, for the record. But if you want to go ahead and do that, then fine. Go ahead and do that. And so ultimately, how do you move on from here? Well, first and foremost, you have to identify the real problem, which is that you aren't good enough. You suck. And nobody wants to be told that too. That's another reason why a lot of people tend to avoid this conversation. They don't want to be told either by themselves or by somebody else, that you suck, you're not good enough, I don't like this. That nobody wants to be told that. Everybody wants to be happy or 24/7. And but the first step to getting better, not just within trading but also in life, is by accepting where your current reality. It's by accepting it. I'm not saying letting go of the dream. Just accept where you are right now fully. Then once you do that, don't just be so broad. You have to be specific in regards to getting better. It's not just, okay, well, I'm just going to look at the charts more. Well, what does that mean? Can you actually even do that? Right? You have to ask yourself those types of questions. You have to be more intentful with what it is that you're trying to do. You can't go about learning a skill set that you've never done before, that nobody in your family or nobody in your friends or nobody in your circle really accepts because, it's gambling or it's this or it's that. You can't go about it the same way. You have to go about it a different way. So accept your current reality and then ask yourself intentful questions, right? So the first one is, how do I get better? Obviously, everybody asks that. And you'll come up with responses, but be more detailed with those responses. Oh, I'm gonna look at the charts more. I'm gonna trade more. I'm gonna watch more YouTube videos. Well, what does that mean exactly? Are you going to study? Can you study 15 minutes more a day? And just ask yourself and be honest with yourself, right? That's a key crucial thing when it comes to learning the skill set. You have to be honest. You can't lie. And I love that about this. You can't lie and say you're a good trader if you've made no money. That is probably the only black and white thing about this, in this kind of world where nothing's really black and white anymore. At least with this is pretty much the most black and white thing you're going to get. Are you good? Great. Can you make money? No? Then you're not good. But you had to be honest with yourself. So if you want to study more, if you want to backtest more, fine. How much more can you do? Really? Well, I only want to do, what can you do consistently? I can do 5 minutes more a day. Okay, great. Can you do 10 minutes more a day? Can you do 20 minutes more a day? Can you do 30 minutes more a day? What can you realistically do? Don't sit here and say, I'm gonna do an hour extra a day and then fall short every single day. That's dumb. You basically just brought yourself back to where you were just at. Be honest, be realistic. I can study it for the charts for another 15 minutes a day. Okay, great. Go ahead and do that. And just stay consistent with that and be disciplined in that aspect. Because a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but I think a lot of young people right now, think in extremes. And I'm guilty for this for sure. I think in extremes, right? I got right now, they're recording this video. I have maybe almost 50,000 followers on TikTok and, 30K on Instagram. I've made money trading and stuff like that. I think, and I still deal with this, that if I don't have at least $400,000-$500,000 followers on TikTok, I don't think I'm really anybody. And some people would argue, well, that's not true. That's a lot of followers. And other people would say, nah, that's about right. Right. So whatever the case may be. But anyways, young people tend to think in extremes. So because of that, it now puts an unnecessary burden and just unnecessary stress in their lives. When all discipline is literally on a fundamental level, either you're taking action or you're not every single day. That's it. Right? If one day you look at the charts, next day you don't, next day you do, next day you don't, other day after that you don't, you have no discipline. You've demonstrated that. But if every day you're doing at least one thing, then you have discipline. If I look at the charts and I, let's say, mark them up, and let's say I do back testing, even for just 10 or 15 minutes, then that's discipline. Then you have discipline. There's levels to discipline, of course, right? If you only look at the charts maybe 15 minutes out of every single day, compared to me, who looks at it damn near for hours a day, then yeah, I'm going to be a lot further ahead than you are. But that's not to say that we both don't have discipline. We both do have discipline. And people already have discipline. They just need to apply it to the one thing that they're saying that they want. You know what I mean? But anyways, again, I'm kind of getting as I digress. If you're beating yourself up right now, mastering this skill set, you have to just accept the reality that it has nothing to do with the skill set itself. Because I feel like a lot of traders, they kind of go down this path of oh, well, there's this strategy, then there's that strategy, then there's this, then there's that. And they just are spending, they're just wasting time, energy, money, and they're not really just identifying the real reason, which is you suck. And they're avoiding that. And it's kind of sad to see it because I'll hop on a call with some people who are telling me their story. I've been trading for 4 years and I'm not successful. And in my mind, the first thing that I think about is, what the hell are you avoiding? What are you afraid of saying out loud? Because if you've been trading for 4 years, even BSing around, you pretty much know the foundation of trading. You know how the market moves, you know terminology, you know the basics of it. So the real problem isn't the trading itself, it's you. And I just hate seeing that. And I honestly I hate the fact that trading gets a bad rep purely because of the fact that people are just avoiding dealing with what the real problems of their life are. And so that's also why I think this is, as much as it is a financial journey, it's also an emotional and spiritual one for some people. Because it's not just about the money. It never really is just about the money. It's about everything else, you know? So anyways, for those of you who are struggling right now trading, and again, forgive me if I sound a little stuffy right now. I've been dying and somebody got me sick, so now I'm pissed. But point is that if you're struggling as a trader and you're beating yourself up and you're going through that overthinking loop over and over and over again, recognize that it has nothing to do with charts, it has to do with you. The second thing, then tackle that problem. Once you tackle that problem, then find solutions that actually you can achieve. Be realistic. Realistically speaking is whatever I want it to be. No, the hell is not. Because what you want ain't happening. So clearly it's not realistic. Get that out of your head. I don't understand, with all due respect, I don't understand what's wrong with my generation. What's realistic is whatever I want it to be. No, it's not. If it was, as I digress. Be realistic with the solutions to not the trading problem per se, but the problem which you're actually avoiding. Once you do all of that, you understand very quickly how simple this game is. Not easy, but how simple it is. And also, life becomes a lot simpler, you know? And when you start to attack the real things that are bothering you and that you're avoiding in life, then you can move that to other aspects, right? Now you can create a proper system, because in regards to trading, in order to actually see success, you have to have a system in place that has been tested, that has been back tested, that has been proven to give you long-term profitability. You can't even do that unless you have a good foundation to build the system on, right? It's like you're trying to become a millionaire, but the foundation of your house is, compromised. You can't do that. It's not possible. And again, I know I've been ranting for a while. Hopefully this video ages well, because honestly, I don't know. I'm just posting my thoughts at this point, but hopefully people watching this see some benefit out of it. And again, I'm also posting what I'm still dealing with. I'm still struggling right now with trying to just navigate this market as long as I've been doing it for. I've seen success, and I know that the goals that I will hit are going to happen. I have no doubt in my mind that's not going to happen. But still to this day, I deal with the fact that, if I'm not there, then I'm not good enough. So when I talk about this, it's not just something that I think or I see, it's something that I also experience as well. So just know I'm speaking from my own personal experiences when I talk about this stuff. But anyways, I don't want to give y'all too much, information on me. I'm still in witness protection or whatever. Long story short, identify the real problem. Long story short, accept what the real problem is. Accept your reality. Then address the real problem. Then create solutions for that problem that you can actually consistently do every single day, and just focus on one day at a time. So long as you do that, you should see success and go from there. And again, there is no benefit to beating yourself up, especially as a man, right? There's no benefit to it at all whatsoever. You think there's a benefit to it, and it might work for right now. But just know over the course of, imagine if every single day you just hated on yourself for like 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 years. You're going to be pretty messed up by the time you're at old age. So don't do that. And especially if you're in your 20s, bro, you can do whatever the heck you want to do, so long as you don't have kids and stuff like that. But anyways, I wanted to post this video out there. It's a long form content video. I wanted to get my thoughts out there for everybody to hear. So hopefully you guys can see some benefit in this. Hopefully you guys can take this and apply it to your own lives. Because at the end of the day, I just want my generation to be successful. And unfortunately, we're also the generation that's having to figure out this new world order, and it's very difficult sometimes. And I understand that. So, with that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your night, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.